Coming up on Bloom, meet a top surgeon paving the way for other women to enter the world of medicine.
Women have this tendency to really listen to the patient and then offer all the knowledge that they've learned and experience that they bring to the table.
And why the 9-to-5 workday might not be ideal for women. Plus a film about an adrenaline-fueled adventure and the daring exploits of special ops veterans. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. May is Women's Health Month, a time when we are urged to stop putting ourselves on the back burner and put our own health first. And we are lucky here in Tampa Bay, one of only 7 places in the nation where people can take their health into their own hands and detect heart disease and hundreds of forms of cancer in their earliest stages. May is also Military Appreciation Month. Joining me now from Lifeguard Imaging is the Vice President of Business Development, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and NFL great Martine Gramatica, to tell us more about Scans of Honor, how they're giving back to service women and men. Martine, thank you so much for being here.
Good to be here. Thank you, Gayle.
So Martine, this sounds like an incredible program. Tell me what Lifeguard is doing for our military members and their spouses.
Yeah, so it's a legacy program, but it is designed a little bit different than our standard program for our military. So when they come in, they're going to speak to a patient advocate that's going to explain the program and the benefits of their Scans of Honor. We're so excited to be able to give back because the stress, not only for the active military, but also for the spouse that stays home with the kids and the family. So we want to make sure they're taken care of, and that's what we implemented this program for our military.
I think it's incredible that you guys are doing that. And let's talk about this technology at Lifeguard Imaging. I mean, you're hearing more and more on the national front, doctors, subscribing to what you're doing. I mean, giving the patients control of their health to find out what's going on.
Yes, you see it more where doctors are embracing what we're doing now because they understand the value of what a scan can do, because a regular physical or checkup, they're not looking inside. So we're basically giving them a roadmap of how to treat that particular patient. So by finding something, whether it's heart disease or cancer, now the patients can be their own advocates and get things treated and not just think that, if we look good, we feel good, we're okay. That's not the case. When you look inside, a lot of times you can look great from the outside, but it's not what's going on inside. Until you look inside, you just don't know.
Yeah, and we have a team of doctors and healthcare experts that are going to join us throughout the entire hour of this show, specifically when it comes to women's health. And they're all these new guidelines, like with mammograms starting earlier. This is just another layer of protection.
Yes, Gayle, we never consider ourselves a substitute for any prescribed exam that the doctor requires. But we've had captured breast cancer women that have had clean mammograms. We go deeper in the breast tissue. So we're an added, defense, if you could say it, and for that mammogram. So absolutely, we can help out, and our full body scan goes from the top of the shoulders to the base of the pelvis. So we're covering 90% of the deadliest cancers develop in our mid-region. That's why we cover the torso.
And the same holds true with heart disease, because it doesn't present for women the same way it might present for a man. I mean, obviously your scan is for all people, but this is just one more way to detect heart disease.
Yes, Gayle, the patients that come in for their free heart scan through your show, we're going to give them a calcium score. Calcium is if there's any calcium in the arteries of their heart, their 4 main arteries. Now with the full body scan, that's where we're detecting hundreds of cancers, and it's a full heart evaluation as well. But absolutely right. The sooner a patient gets that baseline scan, we can start monitoring, similar to the mammogram. Women are doing mammogram every year. Our legacy programs are scanning a patient every year for 5 years, and if anything were to start between scans, we're going to catch it early.
Yeah, it's just remarkable the number of people that I've met throughout the years whose lives have been saved because of Lifeguard Imaging. They've come on the show, they've shared their story. The Lifeguard Imaging of saving 1 to 3 lives a day, it's not just a slogan. So thank you so much for joining us, Martine.
Thank you, Gayle. Appreciate it.
All right, Call today right now, 813-582-5222, or visit lifeguardimaging.com. You'll receive a Bloom special offer, a free heart scan when you mention Gayle or Bloom. That's a $599 value. So call today, 813-582-5222 for this special offer. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Researchers are out with a new study that experts say is clinically significant. Apparently, patients under the care of female doctors are less likely to die. And this was a substantial study involving 800,000 Medicare patients. Joining me now with more is a top female surgeon in Tampa Bay who dedicates her life to mentoring and advocating for other women to choose careers in medicine, specifically becoming surgeons like her. Dr. Sharona Ross, welcome to Bloom. It is always such an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you. Same here. Same here.
So we've been doing stories about the power of women in medicine for many, many years together. And I thought you were the first person I thought about when this study came out, because you've always been a big believer of our role in medicine.
I think absolutely, and I'm always trying to encourage the younger generation to choose a career in surgery because it's so rewarding and it comes so natural to us women. I mean, we care. We are humble. We are compassionate. We are really wanting always to help and listen to the patient. I think a lot of the care we provide patients, just letting them talk and explain that. You think about the different disorders and diseases that they experience. Who knows better about what they feel other than them living with this? Or treatments that we offer, they know their body the best. And so, in other words, women have this tendency to really listen to the patient and then offer all the knowledge that they've learned and experience that they bring to the table. And therefore, patients, on the other hand, enjoy this and overall doing better. I mean, how would we know that patients are doing good or not so great at home unless we listen to how they feel? How are they doing after an operation, you know? And so I think that patients do better under the care of women surgeons and women in physicians is because we listen, because we kind of converse more. We spend more time with the patients. I think that's important to me. And you know, you come to my clinic, patients always say they wait a little bit longer. Wait a little bit longer because we're ready to see everybody who needs to be seen. And patients, I'm proud of my team that well, with us, if you come to see us, within a week or two, you get to be seen. You may wait a little bit, but you will get to be seen and get the care that you deserve.
And you know, this is, I can't stress how much this woman works with other women. I mean, you go all over the country. You bring women here to the Tampa Bay area, and you show them firsthand the incredible opportunities that they can have before them if they choose a career, especially as a surgeon like yourself. And I always like to share the story of how the two of us met. My father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. My brother and I just started deep diving into, you know, what would be the best way to remove the tumor, and we found the leading robotic surgeon in the nation, one of the top right here, and that would be you. And then, you know, after my father passed, you took incredible care of him. You got the tumor out successfully. He lived a little bit longer. It was the best results possible. But I never knew that that would bring us together in the way that it did, as friends, you know, sharing medical stories together in the community. And you really taught me throughout the years really the potential for women out there that want to choose this career.
Absolutely, it was always an honor and a privilege to take care of your dad. Women, especially in a surgical field, it's male-dominated, right? And so us women, as a minority, still have to help each other. We have to mentor. It's hard for a woman, you know, from the younger generation to find a mentor if there are not a lot of women surgeons. Now, we've come a long way. So we have more women in leadership positions, like chairs in academic programs, presidents in surgical societies. But what we need now is women to elevate other women. And it starts with one person, but then it spreads all around the country. And this past year, when we had the symposium, the Women's Surgery Career Symposium here in Tampa, we brought women from like all different countries, not just the U.S., but we had from Kenya, Ethiopia, from Turkey, from the Netherlands, from Spain, Italy. I mean, it goes on and on the list. It was unbelievable. From Korea, China, Japan, India. We had strong women surgeons who have a lot of like challenges in their countries, and we all came together to help one another. And the thought for next year is to develop those chapters in all the different countries and stream it from here, Tampa Bay, right, to all around the world for women surgeons. So we unite like a village, like a village that all women, younger generation and older generation, can help each other, can network, can elevate one another, because together we are the strongest. We are a force.
It's true.
But unless we help each other, it's not going to happen. So we have more women that are coming up, more leaders that are wonderful women, but now we have to elevate the rest. And if it was difficult for me and really challenging for me and the generations before me, we should make it easier for the younger generation, because they're going to have a whole different set of challenges. So let's help elevate them. One small short story that I wanted to share with you. 2 days ago, I was in the operating room, and usually I have a team of women around the patients while I'm on the console operating. And 4 guys, with 2 students that learning how to scrub tech and then first assist. 4 guys around the patient, and I asked, so we finished the robotic Whipple, and we just putting glue, like applied this gel over the anastomosis. So one of them is doing that, and I'm directing it, right, on the console. And I asked one of the other guys to just irrigate and suck, right? And it's amazing how, when I asked to irrigate and suck, suddenly the TCL injection is stopped. It's like they suddenly work like one brain. One unit, one group, you know, that is right. United. It's like innate in guys to. And then when I asked, okay, let's continue with the injection here, and the suction stopped and the glue is going on. And I was like, when I'm used to working with women, they all independently work. They focus on what they're doing. They're very multitaskers, but they don't necessarily work as
a team.
One team.
And that's what we got to work towards.
It's not innate. We're more like that. We're coming a long way now.
We're
getting better.
And with you at the helm, we are going to get there. And I'm going to share Dr. Ross's story, and I'm also going to put some information about a big women's summit coming up through Advent on bloomtampabay.com. We'll tell you all about it. She's behind that as well. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. May is Women's Health Month, and there is an important debate happening right now. Is the healthcare system gender biased? More simply put, do men get better medical treatment than women? Here to share her insight is nurse practitioner and board-certified wellness coach, Lori Finley. Lori, it's always such a pleasure to see you.
It's so great to be back. Thank you.
So, Lori, let's talk about it. Like, what is your personal perspective of this?
Well, my personal perspective, first of all, years ago, as I worked in cardiology and saw women experiencing heart attacks and open heart surgery, like they didn't know really what to tell women, as far as like post-operatively and care, like, trying to even place a bra over a big incision, all kinds of things that women were not taught. But women also, when it comes to heart disease, they're not getting the same treatment. They're misdiagnosed. They're not getting the same follow-up care. So there's a big disparity there in the care.
But you say we don't have to just sit back and look at these statistics and think, oh, well, I guess we're, that's tough for us. We can actually be our own healthcare advocate.
Yes, and that's one of my passions, is helping women understand that they can be and they need to be their own advocate, because So many women are disrespected, are dismissed, even gaslit. Their medical providers don't understand what's going on in their bodies. In fact, I mean, years ago, women were given, and this was many years ago, but we're still living under the umbrella of the hysteria diagnosis that women were given, right?
I wanted to touch on that. Like, you and I have talked a lot about hormone replacement therapy. And it's unbelievable to me how many women, and there are people that need, Xanax and medications like that, and there's definitely a place for that. But a lot of women are being prescribed, for anxiety and medications like that, when actually it's a hormonal problem. And to me, that's just a shining example of we're not doubling down and really finding out what's going on in a woman's body and what we can do to help and support her. We're just giving a medication that might not be suited for her, that might not even be good for her.
Exactly. And, out of that hysteria diagnosis came hysterectomies. And that seemed to be the simplest solution, when what was really going on was hormonal imbalance and estrogen dominance, often caused by, an iatrogenic cause is caused by the synthetic birth control pills or synthetic estrogens that they are prescribing. And that one-size-fits-all solution, if you look across the age span for women, from the time they're teenagers up until mid-30s and 40s, they prescribe the birth control pill. And 60% of women that are prescribed the pill, it's not for birth control. They just give it to them for anxiety, and they give it to them for heavy periods and acne, right? And then they get set up for all of these other health challenges that come with it. And once women hit menopause, and they give them synthetic hormones again, which cause even more problems. And so yes, they're not getting to the root cause. Instead, they're just doing surgery.
So let's talk about the Women's Health Initiative fallout, because that kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about right now.
Right. The Women's Health Initiative initially was designed, or at least they said it was designed, to see if hormone therapy could reduce the risks of chronic disease for women: coronary disease, brain disease, cognitive dysfunction, Alzheimer's, bone disease, and breast cancer. And unfortunately, it was poorly designed. The study went on for many, many years, but it was cut short by 3 years. And in 2002, JAMA and the BBC and the New York Times all broadcast that hormone replacement therapy causes breast cancer, increases the risk of coronary disease, causes strokes, and also increases the risk of pulmonary embolism. And unfortunately, they didn't let women or medical providers know that they were using synthetic hormones, not God-made, God-given hormones, like bioidentical hormones, right? But no, just hormone replacement therapy increases breast cancer and increases heart disease. And the prescription rate of hormone replacement therapy dropped by 70% in 1 year. And we have seen in those 22 years the skyrocket increase of breast cancer and coronary disease and dementia and bone disease, because women are not getting the estrogen support that they need and the progesterone support they need. Unfortunately, women also don't know, and most medical providers don't know, that the study was very poorly designed, that they used much older women. Like, they started at 60 to 69 years old. We know that women should start hormone replacement therapy as soon as they get into menopause, like 50 to 59, right? Instead of that 60 to 69. And 50% were overweight, 50% were smokers, 39% were hypertensive, 20% were obese. It was a very unhealthy population. They've done an incredible amount of research on this through the years, literally re-examining all the statistics and proving that A, the clinical trial was wrong, B, that the design was very, very poor, and C, there was an incredible ulterior motive. That even the primary investigator, Jacques Rousseau, who was a cardiologist, literally said, I want to, prove that hormone therapy, I want to get off this pro-HRT bandwagon, right? They wanted to end what was going on with hormones and prove that hormone replacement therapy really doesn't prevent disease.
But now we're seeing that it does.
Right.
I mean, I've had one expert after the next. I can't tell you many people that have sat either where you're sitting right now or in our roundtable discussions saying the exact opposite.
Right. Yeah, it's really a shame. And again, there are numerous studies and numerous colleagues and people around the world that have published significant data showing that this has been a significant fallout for women.
Well, we definitely, want to encourage women to please do your homework. You want to make sure that you're aligning yourself with a provider that really knows their stuff, that can work with you, because it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. But Lori, we always appreciate you weighing in on the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, we're going to share this story on BloomTampaBay.com. And stick around to find out why the 9-to-5 workday created generations ago for men might not be ideal for women when Bloom returns. The typical workday schedule will forever be immortalized by Dolly Parton in her 1980 song 9 to 5. But there is a great debate happening right now asking if a schedule created for white men in the Industrial Revolution to meet factory production goals is suited for everyone, especially women. Joining me now to weigh in is high-performance strategist Genesis Hay-Crick. It is so great to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you too.
So we're going to have the earworm, 9 to 5, stuck in our heads,
Yes.
that song. But it really was created for a man's world, back in the automobile assembly lines. And we're starting to realize, especially after the pandemic, that it's really not suited for everyone, and maybe not even guys anymore.
It's so true. And when you have 49% of the workforce as women, 25% as mothers, it's absolutely not suitable. So we need to look at the constant pressures of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis and see how we can do better.
So as I was reading up on this, it's not just about the flexibility that women might need to manage their days, because we do a lot on the home front, we do a lot on the work front, but then also our body makeups are completely different. So a woman's hormones fluctuating throughout the day, she might not have the stamina to work from 9 to 5, but she does have the stamina to wake up early in the morning, juggle the kids, get to work, maybe reprieve for a little bit, and then go back at it. So it needs to be a little bit more flexible is what a lot of people believe.
Absolutely. And the thing that we really need to be thinking about the most is, what is our sleep like? What is our food intake? What are we doing for ourselves? How are we filling up our own cup as working women? And if we're not really recognizing from a self-awareness standpoint, we can't do anything about it. So first and foremost, I always recommend that when my clients are talking to me about their biggest struggles, asking for help, asking for that extra support that they need, communicating effectively what it is that their greatest needs are, because people don't know what they don't know, including our children, including our spouses. So before we walk out of the house in the morning, what are the things that we're talking about before we leave, so that when we come back, everyone can be on the same page in regard to what we need.
Yeah, and I think, and I was so guilty of this, and I've learned to change, especially from talking to experts like yourself. I was such a martyr. I felt like I had to do everything. Psychologically, I felt that it was my responsibility. I think I took a little bit of pride and ownership in doing everything. I think, the psychology of it all with women.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I was burned out, and I wasn't my best version of me.
Yes.
And I don't think I'm alone in that story.
You're not. And I would say probably 90% of the moms, so 90% of the working women that I talk to, they're at both ends of the candle, they're burning it, and they need to be able to reframe their mindset so that they can be conscious of, what are the things that I'm allowing myself to prioritize, I'm allowing myself to focus on, and how full is my cup? You cannot pour from an empty cup. You've probably heard it many, many times. But when we fill up our cup, such as creating positive, effective habits that are going to help us feel better health-wise, mentally, physically, emotionally, so that we can pour into other people, that's when we can be the best of ourselves on any given day. So when we prioritize that, that's when we're going to be a better mother, a better wife, a better colleague, a better boss.
And you mentioned one of your actionable steps is to ask for help. Is there anything else that we can be doing to lessen the load?
I would say establish those non-negotiables and say, maybe today I'm going to need to outsource something. Maybe today I'm going to need a little extra help from my spouse, from my children. And just asking for that help is so essential. What is it today that we can outsource? What is it today that maybe can be pushed to the wayside? So that's why creating daily habits, creating a schedule that's going to work for you on a daily basis, meaning that these specific habits are just for me, not for everyone else. How am I going to fill up my cup with regard to my sleep, with regard to whether it's taking an ice bath or going for a walk or getting a facial, whatever that looks like for us, establishing that consistency. And even if it's 10 minutes a day that you're dedicating to that self-awareness and that time, it's going to make a huge difference in the long run.
Can I tell you my dirty little secret? My favorite thing to do when I'm in a pinch, as an Amazon Prime member, I love to just order groceries every once in a while. I mean, that in itself gives you about 2 hours between the drive time,
Yes.
the parking, the shopping, the loading.
Yes.
I don't try to do it all the time, but I love to do it to buy myself a couple of hours. Hey, it is so great seeing you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, you can watch this story on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by TV Bookers on behalf of Gayle.
There is a groundbreaking suite of therapy apps for special needs kids. Joining me now to tell us more about Gayle and their easily accessible technology designed for kids with autism and ADHD is Gayle CEO Sasha Stern. Sasha, welcome to Bloom.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about Gayle. This sounds so cool. And what made you launch this?
Yeah, absolutely. So the kids need to learn ABCs, they need to learn their numbers, but who's going to teach them life skills? How do I dress myself? How do I brush my teeth? How do I make friends? Those are the types of skills that we're focused on at Gayle.
And you've made it really easily laid out and kind of fun and interactive for the kiddos.
Yeah, so there's a tablet, and we make all the apps and all the streaming video content on the tablet for kids. So it's really designed for kids, let's call it under 8. Before they're ready to have an iPad and access the whole internet, you want them to just have some learning apps. That's what we're there for.
And it sounds like, with parents, they're probably dealing so much with just a diagnosis and helping their kids in so many areas of life. To have something that is easily accessible every day that you can engage with, I would imagine you see a lot more progress.
Yeah, the idea is that parents should be able to practice what the professionals do. Right? We can't expect parents to do everything, but if we give them some kind of framework and some games that they can do with their kids, they generally want to do those kinds of things with their kids.
Yeah, so this is something that the parents can do with the child as well?
Yeah, exactly. We have a parent app. They can see their kids' progress. They can manage what their kids focused on. And their kids can just kind of have fun doing it by themselves too. We try to gamify everything.
Even like bedtime rituals and things like that?
Bedtime and mornings are the things that parents want the most, right? That's when they're just nagging their kids. They feel like they have to be there for every single step. In the parent app, they can customize it for their kid, and then we guide their kid through it step by step with points and rewards at the end.
Oh, that's so cool. So what is the benefit of getting a jump start like this when your child is young? Because you and I were talking, and a lot of times this isn't addressed. And then as a child ages and they're in their teen years, they're playing a lot of catch up because there's so much to learn along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the biggest benefit is it's probably a little bit less stressful for parents, right? Because they don't have to be there for every single step. But for the kid, it makes it so they're more functional in school, so that they can be happier and more independent, and they have more confidence because they can do those things by themselves.
And I think it's cool. Explain to me a little bit more about customizing this app, Gayle, to reach your child's goal, because every child's goal might be different.
Yeah, some kids, they need to focus more on communication skills or social skills. How do they make friends, or maybe interrupt somebody in a conversation? There's a certain way of doing that. And so parents can really customize the curriculum. What do I want my kid to work on? Is it hygiene? Is it social skills? Or maybe it's managing their emotions.
Yeah, because maybe a child might have a temper on them related to being frustrated without being able to do what they need to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so if we can help them learn how to manage their emotions, they're going to be so much more successful everywhere in their life.
How did you guys come up with all this?
Well, we study what the professionals do. So we see, what do speech therapists do? What do behavior therapists do? And then we try to create these simple, fun, digital implementations that parents and kids can do.
Now, is this affordable for families?
It's $299. That includes our tablet, the case, all of our streaming video, our apps, everything is $299.
That's a really good deal when you think about it. And this is taking a child from 0 to 8.
Yeah, we're focused on those really formative years where kids are really just like learning how to take care of themselves.
I think this is such a cool idea. I really appreciate you coming on Bloom to share it with our viewers.
Thanks for having me.
And for more information, you can visit getgoalie.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by TV Bookers on behalf of Gayle.
Welcome back to Bloom. We're shining the light on a new documentary for this week's Military Monday. The film, 777, They Said It Couldn't Be Done, follows a 168-hour skydiving expedition led by a team of former special operators and skydiving veterans who took on the impossible. 7 skydives in 7 continents in 7 days, all in honor of the fallen.
We are blessed that we knew warriors that lived life to the fullest, and even more so, were prepared to give their lives and stood for something.
Constantly remember that the people that we were jumping for gave up their today and every one of their tomorrows so we could be out here doing stuff like this.
Joining me now is 777 team member and retired U.S. Navy SEAL Mike Sorelli. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So first, tell us a little bit about the entire premise. I gave just the tip of the iceberg of this incredible film.
Well, the premise was to do a really challenging expedition in which we could sort of weave in the camaraderie and the homecoming and belonging that us veterans know so well from being in the military. This specific challenge was the 777 or 777, which within the international skydiving community has been around for decades. And many have tried to pull it off, all have failed. And it's a testament to the fact that don't tell the American fighting man or woman that something can't be done, we'll prove you wrong. And this team of 9 special operators, we ended up setting 4 world records. You know, we did it in 6 days, 6 hours and 6 minutes. But more importantly, this story tells not only the story of the living, but the story of the fallen, their brothers in arms who were lost in combat.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of reviews, and I understand the film melds daring exploits, as we're seeing right now, with deep camaraderie and heartfelt stories that unite our members of the military, some people even comparing it to Band of Brothers.
Well, we would take that as a compliment, because I think every military member has seen Band of Brothers. But you know, we wanted to sort of rebrand the veterans how we know them, because Hollywood depicts them in this brutish sort of way that, you know, that they're uneducated, that they had no other option but to go into the military, and we know that not to be true. The lethal warriors I served with, they're high in intellectual and emotional intelligence. They're empathetic, they're kind, they're respectful, they're highly professional. Yes, did they do a dirty job in defense of our nation? But these are common men and women that just have an uncommon drive, passion, and belief in the country that we hold dear.
Well, Bloom is headquartered in Tampa, Florida, so you know we're home to CENTCOM and MacDill Air Force Base. We have a lot of military members who live here, and many of us who respect what you do and the sacrifices that you make for our country. And I understand that tonight, Monday night, you are going to have a big film debut at the Tampa Theater, in the historic theater. And this is going to give people a chance to kind of get up close and personal with the story that you're sharing.
Yeah, we could have taken this. We're doing 5 premieres in all, starting in New York City, hitting Austin, Dallas, and LA as well. But Tampa was the top of our list. And we have set aside 200 free tickets for all the personnel at SOCOM and CENTCOM. Just come with your active military ID, or if you're retired, your DD-214 or your retiree ID. We've got tickets set aside for you because this film is about us, for you. And we'd love to share this moment with as many military service members and their families as possible.
Now, as we're looking at this incredible video, kind of walk me through, what we're seeing and how this was all being able to be captured. Because these are like, to us, I mean, my heart is racing just watching this. And I know the director, famous director of the Blair Witch Project, I mean, a lot went into making this happen.
Yeah, I felt sorry for the film crew because it's not like we could do a retake. They were on the move with us on airplanes, moving across the world. But that particular scene is over the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, which was by far the coolest jump. And keep in mind, we jumped into Antarctica, and a lot of us, that was our first jump. We thought that was going to be the premier jump. No, Egypt was special. And that particular footage was taken by Juan Meyer, who's a world-class skydiving videographer. And so, this entire thing was a logistical challenge. It was less about the risk of the jumps and more solving this puzzle of how do we get across the world in 7 days and do 7 skydives. And it's a testament to what we learned in the military, how to plan, how to buy down risk, to how to be prepared for contingencies. And quite frankly, this group got it done.
Oh my gosh, it's like I can't stop watching it. And just from what we're seeing, I'm just wowed by the final product and what people are in store for. What do you hope the takeaway is for folks who come see the movie?
I hope it instills a little bit of pride for veterans, reminds them who we are, and that when we come home, similar to the World War II generation, we may take the uniform off, but we've got to galvanize as a veteran demographic, and we have to drive this nation forward. Now, for civilians, I think it's a little bit of a wake-up call, a reminder that there are still heroes in this age. If you don't believe that, go to Arlington Cemetery with row upon row of white markers to remind you that somebody was willing to give their today for our tomorrow, and how we conduct ourselves every single day in their memory, to honor their memory, that matters. And I think it's very timely with all the anti-American, pro-Hamas sentiment going on. We couldn't have planned this. I know we're doing it during Military Appreciation Month, but it's a stark reminder that this is the greatest country in the world. We've got our share of problems, but guess what? If we galvanize together in an apolitical way, we can solve these problems.
From all of us here at Bloom, thank you for your service and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, ma'am.
The film premieres at the Tampa Theater tonight. Expedition members and filmmakers will appear for a red carpet event. We're going to put everything you need to know on BloomTampaBay.com. Before we go to break, it's time for today's Bloom trivia question, true or false. Skydiving can help with anxiety. We'll have the answer later on Bloom. Several studies show that women are largely underrepresented in medical research, but there is a movement to change that in Tampa Bay, thanks to USF Health. Joining me now is USF Health cardiologist, Dr. Daniela Cruziat. It is so great to see you, doctor.
Thank you for having me.
So let's first talk about these discrepancies. Would you agree that they exist?
I would say absolutely, and I think the data is there to support it. I think for many, many years, women have been underrepresented in clinical research, and that's definitely the case for cardiology. There's federal mandates that say we should include women in the research that we're doing, and it's really been a couple of decades since those have been in place. But we really have sort of lagged behind in terms of being able to not only recruit women to be involved in clinical research, but also to retain them.
And let's talk about, how this puts women at a disadvantage in the healthcare system, especially when it comes to heart health.
Yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of the things, meaning like medical therapies, treatments, procedures, even medical devices that we use have really been tested largely in men. When we look at things like cardiology clinical research, we see that maybe women account for 1/3 of the participants when you look across the row. So what that means is we're using a lot of treatments and medicines, and we're kind of extrapolating their use in women when we really don't clearly know whether they have true benefit, true risk, or potentially even harm.
I want to talk about a huge event, an inaugural event that just happened here in the Tampa Bay area, the Tampa General Hospital State of the Union. And a lot of what I learned attending that, which was incredible, is the partnership with USF Health and the emphasis on research, which this is a game changer in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. We're so lucky as university faculty to be so closely associated with Tampa General. We really think of ourselves as one, but we really are bringing that enterprise of not only community engagement, as Tampa General has such a wide sort of catch net and a highly rich patient population, but you know, the association with the university really allows us to sort of elevate the care that people are getting, bring it to a different level, and really bring important things such as research and community engagement into sort of the infrastructure that they already provide for truly outstanding medical care.
And what would you say as a whole? I know we're taking major strides here in Tampa Bay, but what is it going to take to close the gender gap?
Yeah, I think that's a loaded question. I think we have a long way to go. I think part of it is just making sure, one of it is awareness, right? So we need women to know that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women and that they're underrepresented in a lot of the sort of in what we know about heart disease. So I think even just empowering the community and supporting them and telling them that we are serious about women's heart health and women's research, and we're doing everything that we can to sort of improve the recruitment and retention of women into the clinical trials that we're currently hosting at places like Tampa General and USF.
All right, well, you know, you say we have a long way to go, which I totally agree with you, and we're going to be talking about that for the entire hour of the show. We've dedicated it to helping women, you know, rise when it comes to the care they need, but we really need to be our own patient care advocates.
I absolutely believe that. I think that's where it really starts. I think for some women, they just don't know that it could really be them, right? Or that they're not vulnerable. And for many years, we had thought that heart disease was a man's problem. And now when we look, we see that women very quickly catch up to men. But that when they're younger, it's true. The prevalence of heart disease is more common in men. But after menopause and because of different changes in our lifestyle, then the rates of heart disease become really quite equal. So I think we lag behind in time. We also lag behind a little bit in how we've been included in research, but I think that
we're bringing it together.
We're bringing it together, and we're almost there.
All right, we will be right back. It's time for today's Bloom Trivia question. True or false? Skydiving can help with anxiety. The answer is true. You would think skydiving would trigger anxiety, but it challenges your response to stress, which can help how you handle anxiety in your everyday life. Skydiving can be a good way to train your brain to deal with stress rather to avoid it. Some skydivers claim it actually is therapeutic. I'll take their word for it. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Meet professional athlete and NFL champ BJ Daniels, who is positively impacting mindsets, and out with a new book raising awareness for mental health. And meet a lawyer turned travel expert who set out on a journey to complete 12 trips in 12 months while employed full-time. Stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by TV bookers on behalf of Gayle.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.